Good morning. It's Thursday and it's time for yoga. Today we're going to go on a visit to Whipsnade Zoo, and I love visiting Whipsnade Zoo. I'm very sad that it had to shut again, so we're going to go there in our imagination. If you've got any favourite animals that you like visiting when you go to the zoo, could you put a comment on the video, and I'm going to try and read them from my big screen next to me, and we'll see if we can get as many animals in as we can. So we're going to have to drive to the zoo first. So if you start, so you've got some space in front of you, have a little wriggle on your sitting bones and have your legs out in front. You can have a little bend in your knees if you need to. And we're going to start our engines and then start driving forwards. Up. And so we're going to get to the zoo and we're going to reverse into a parking space. So we'll put the car in reverse and back we go. Fantastic. And here we are. Oh, right. So the first animal that I like seeing at the zoo, my favourite animal is the elephant. So we're going to start with that. So let's get on our feet. Have your feet nice and wide. And elephants have got big heavy feet. So if you start from one side to the other, and then have your heavy feet on the ground. Oh, and they're nice and tall, so let's stretch our heads up towards the ceiling. And we're going to use both our hands to be the trunk. So let's reach up with our trunks, and we're going to lean forwards and suck some water up into our trunks, because these are our noses, but we can hold lots of water in them. And then reach up and spray it around everywhere. Then lean forward, suck some water up, and then up and spray the water everywhere. Let's do that one more time then. I'm going to see if there's any comments, and if there aren't, it doesn't matter because I've got lots of ideas. Let's spray the water all around the place. So that's my favourite animal done. Let's just see if we've got any comments yet. Good morning, Laura. Laura, if you've got a favourite animal, let me know. Right, we're going to visit some tigers next. The tigers are big cats. Let's get on our hands and knees and pad our paws. Oh. Just whenever I see the tigers at the zoo, I just want to give them a cuddle, even though I know if I went near them, they'd probably rip my arm off or something, but they just look so fluffy and cuddly. So we've got our nice padded paws, and we're going to round our backs up towards the ceiling and then come into a balance. So if you stretch one arm forwards and stretch the other leg back, so it's opposite sides. If you're doing on the same side, then it's not really what we're trying to do. We want to do opposite arms and legs, and then hands and knees back down, round up, and then do the other arm and the other leg. So when you look down, you should see your hand and knee are on diagonals. Now, once you start doing the same side, it's really hard to swap over, so you might need a grown-up to help you out here. So we'll reach forwards with opposite arm and leg, and then back and reach with the other arm and leg. So that's our tiger pose. Right, so Lara says her favourite animal is a rabbit. Now, I don't think there's any, are there rabbits at Whipsnade Zoo? I know there is a farm area. We can do some rabbits though. I think we need to boing up and down the mat a bit. So let's start at the back of the mat, and we're going to do some sort of, they hop around like this, don't they? And then we can turn around and hop back the other way. Or we can just do boinging a bit like frogs. Let's try that. Boing, boing. And then I like to be a rabbit who's resting. So I can curl up into a little ball, but use my hands to be rabbit ears. So that's quite a nice way to do that. And then you can sort of swing your ears around a bit. Because when rabbits are listening to things, they sort of swing their ears around, don't they? Okay, so we've done rabbits, we've done tigers, we've done elephants. I wonder if there's any other animals anyone likes. I think we could do penguins next. So penguins, they kind of look really silly when they're walking around, but they're really graceful when they're underwater. So why don't we have our feet together and our arms down by our sides and our wings sticking out, and then we can have a little waddle forwards and then turn around, and let's go back the other way. looking like that. So this is what they look like when they're on land, but when they're in the water, they're really graceful, and they kind of swim on their tummies almost. So let's get on our tummies and bring your arms behind you and lift up. And this is the kind of position that penguins are in when they swim through the water. You can't see it so much at Whipsnade Zoo, but if you ever get to go to London Zoo, you can watch the penguins underwater because they've got a glass panel and they just look beautiful, just gliding through the water. Whee! Okay, so that's the penguins. If anyone's got a favourite animal that they'd like to do a yoga pose for, do put it in the comments and I'll see if I can include it. Okay, another favourite animal that we like to see is the giraffes. So to be a giraffe, we're going to have our feet on the floor, we're going to do a balance, have a look at something that's not going to move, and then take your weight into one foot and see if you can hold on to the foot that you're not standing on, and then reach up into the air with your other arm. And then that other arm, you can use it to munch. Oh, and they reach up and they've got big, long black tongues. They use their tongues to sort of coil round leaves and drag the branches into their mouths and eat them. It's quite amazing to see. So we'll put our weight back on both feet again and then send the weight over to the other foot. Hold on, reach up with the arm and have a munch with that other arm. And there's a baby giraffe at Whipsnade Zoo who's not very old. I can't remember what they've called the baby giraffe. Oh, okay. Right, what other animal could we visit at the zoo? We've got the lions that are at the zoo. Whenever we see the lions, they're not doing an awful lot, but there's a really good lion pose that I like doing. And this isn't just about how you sit, it's how you breathe and what you do with your face as well. So I'd like you to kneel and have your hands in front of you, and then I'm going to come closer to the camera and I can tell you how we do our lion breath and our lion face. So it's all about having big eyes and a big mouth. We're going to take a big breath in, and when we breathe out, we're going to like that. So that's lion breath as well as lion pose. You can't see my cat, but she looks absolutely terrified. You all right, Lily? She's run off. So we'll take a big breath in. Let's do that one more time. So make sure you're doing really big eyes, really big face. And when I do this in a class full of children, it's really quite terrifying because I tell them what to do and then they do it back and I'm like, whoa. Okay, right, so we've done lions, we've done penguins, we've done giraffes, elephants, we've done rabbits. I think we could probably do some hippos now. Now, whenever I go to see the hippos, their pool is really, really smelly, and they have to put a sign up at the zoo to say, we do clean our hippo ponds out, we're not horrible zookeepers, but the minute they get in there, they like to poo everywhere, so it smells of them. So we're going to have a little wallow in a muddy pond, and then we're going to wiggle our tails and imagine that we're being hippos and we're spraying mess everywhere. It's really horrible, isn't it? But that's what hippos do. So the poor zookeepers clean their ponds out and make them lovely, and the first thing the hippos do is they make a mess. So I do feel quite sorry for the zookeepers. Okay, so that's the hippos. What other animals have we got? I quite like seeing the bears at the zoo. So if we stand on our mats, we're going to have big heavy feet, lean forwards and hold on to the backs of your legs. And we're going to have a little wander around. And the bears are another one. They look so cuddly, and I always wish I could just go in there and cuddle up to a bear and lean against one and snuggle into their fluffy fur. But I know that that would be a really bad idea. I'll have a little wander around like that. Okay. Are there any more favourite animals that you'd like me to do a yoga pose for? I've only had one suggestion so far. So let's have a think. We've done elephants, we've done giraffes. Shall we have a go at a rhinoceros? So rhinoceroses have got the massive horns on their noses. So if we get on our hands and knees, we can use one hand to be a rhinoceros horn, and then we could use a leg to be a rhinoceros tail. And you can do the diagonals again that we were doing with tiger pose, and then we'll swap over and do the other side. Have a go on that side as well. Okay, lovely. Right, so those are rhino poses. We're going to have a go at a pose which is called cow face, which is very twisty. And that's because at the zoo they have different sorts of cows. They have things like bisons, and they've got massive horns. So we're going to do cow face pose, which doesn't really look like a cow face, but let's just see how we get on. So to do cow face pose, if you start on your hands and knees and then lift one leg up and twist it round the other and take your feet wide and see if you can sit between your feet. So this isn't one I find very comfortable. So if you don't like it, you can try having a cushion instead underneath your bottom, and that helps. Or you can just sit cross-legged. So now you've got to imagine that your legs are like big, thick, rubbery cow lips. You really have to use your imagination. And then take one arm behind your back and then another arm overhead. So we've got, these are meant to be the sort of floppy cow ears. Okay, and now because we're doing it all on one side, we have to do it all again on the other. So remember which elbow you've got going in the air. And then we're going to go forwards, get on our hands and knees again, cross the other leg over, take your feet wide, see if you can sit between your feet. And then we've got to swap over, so the other arm goes behind the back and the other one on top. You might find you can hold your own hands. So that's our cow face pose. Right, we've had another few suggestions here. I've got 3 different suggestions from Sophie. So first one that Sophie's given us is butterfly pose. So there's a beautiful butterfly house. Sometimes it's a bit weird when you see the butterflies flying towards you or actually sitting on your coat. So we're going to sit with our feet together and our knees wide and give our butterfly wings a little flutter. And the butterflies like to sit on flowers. So there is a flower pose. I'm going to do it sideways. So we keep our knees and our feet exactly the same. Put your hands inside your knees and then see if you can come into a balance. So your feet are together, you're holding onto your legs. So this is our flower pose. Right, now another suggestion we've got here is a wolf. I don't think they've got wolves at the zoo anymore. I know they used to, but what they have got are the African hunting dogs. I really like watching them because sometimes they just trot around in a line and they follow each other, and they're beautiful patterns as well. They've got black, brown and white. So to be an African hunting dog, we're going to do downward facing dog and lift up, and because they're not just like any old dogs, we're going to make them a little bit more fierce. So let's just have a little wriggle from one leg to the other. Ease down the backs of your legs, and then we'll raise one leg in the air and really push down through your other foot, and then swap over, do the other side. Oh. And then we can do a little bit of a donkey kick or a bigger one, just to show that these African hunting dogs are a bit more fierce than the normal dogs that we have as pets. So thanks for those suggestions. We've also got a zebra suggestion as well. So we're going to get to our feet to be stripy zebras and have your feet wide, and we're going to sit down as if we're riding on a horse. Now, I don't think anyone rides on zebras. If you've ever been to Tring Museum, it's that the house was owned by a man who kept zebras as pets, and he used them to pull his horse, the carriage that he'd normally have a horse on. So although we're sort of sitting down as if we're sort of riding a horse, I don't know anyone who ever has ridden a zebra, but zebras are stripy, so we're going to paint ourselves with stripes. So we'll paint our tummies, we'll paint our legs, and we'll paint our arms, and we're going to imagine we've got a stripy tail that we need to paint as well. So thank you for that zebra suggestion. Let's just bounce our feet back together again. I'm sure there must be one more zoo animal that we can do before we start to slow things down. And my mind has gone absolutely blank. So there are wild horses at the zoo. How about a sloth bear? They look lovely. If you ever see them, I don't see them very often because they don't do an awful lot. But let's be a sloth bear and let's lie on our backs, hug our knees in, have a little wriggle around. And of course, the minute I say this is the last one, I have lots of other ideas. So I think we ought to do a crocodile before we totally finish, because I quite like the crocodiles at the zoo, and they're in the same room as the butterflies. So we're just going to have a little rock forwards and backwards, so that we can come up to sitting again, and then get on our tummies. And if you lie on your tummy with your arms out in front, then we're going to lift one arm up, and then go snap, and then lift the other arm up, and go snap. Let's do that a couple more times on each side. Lovely. And let's come up to sitting. Oh, and we haven't done any twisty poses. So they've got different deer at the zoo as well. So we're going to sit with both legs out to one side, and we're going to twist away from our feet. And this is deer pose. And I don't actually know why it's deer pose, but we'll do it anyway. So we sit up nice and tall, twist away from our feet, and then come back to the middle, and then take the feet out the other side, sit up nice and tall, and twist away from our feet that way. Wonderful. Lovely. Okay, so I'm going to come a bit closer to you, and we're going to do a little bit of a breathing practice, and then we'll have our relaxation. So get yourself sitting comfortably, and we're going to use one finger to think about our breathing today, and we're going to draw a square. So we're going to breathe in to go down the square, breathe out to go across, breathe in to go up, and then breathe out to go across the other way. So it's in to go down, out to go across, in to go up, and out to go across. Or it can be however it works for you. If you don't want to do a square, you can go up and down. So you might want to breathe in to go up, or out to go down. Or you might want to do a zigzag, so in to go up and out to go down. So whatever you do, you decide how fast you breathe first. So don't do really quick breath like that. It's just nice, slow, relaxed breath, and you match your movement to your breathing. And just see how slow and relaxed you can make it. And then I'd like you to lie down, get comfortable, and you can use a nice blanket if you want to, or you can take a cushion so you can be comfortable wherever you're lying. So I don't want you lying there thinking, oh, I want to move, or I'm feeling a bit cold. And I'd like you to imagine that you are cuddled up with one of the great big fluffy bears at the zoo. Now, remembering that they're not actually cuddly in real life, and it would be very dangerous to cuddle up to a bear, but we're just going to use our imagination because they just look so fluffy. So just imagine you're cuddled up with this bear, and the bear is supporting you. Maybe you can feel the bear breathing. And the bear's fur is lovely and warm, and you feel totally safe with this lovely fluffy brown bear. And the bear's breathing is nice and slow. Maybe the bear's snoring a little bit, but it makes you feel nice and sleepy too. You feel lovely and warm, lovely and safe, lovely and relaxed. And then have a little wriggle of your fingers and toes. have a stretch out, and then come up to sitting. Then if you have a stretch out, bring your hands together. Thanks very much for joining in this morning. So I hope you enjoyed it. Namaste. I'll see you again on Tuesday. Bye-bye.